Now we will see how to create a Azure VM, and then we will also configure that particular VM in Azure Site Recovery Vault so that the backup of that particular virtual machine gets taken, and then finally we will see how to recover the virtual machine from that particular backup. All right, so here in this script, this is the script which will actually create a Azure Virtual Machine in a resource group. So here we are using Azure PowerShell. There are three commands which actually creates a resource group, a VM, and then we are actually an example run commands being invoked on that VM so that we make sure that virtual machine is running. So to execute this particular script, you can open the Windows PowerShell ISC like me and try to run the command that is actually connect AZ account. So I'm going to run this command that is connect AZ account, which actually set the context in this in the Azure subscriptions. So here this is my command. I ran it. Now what it asks is it will actually. So here I'm not using any credentials to input, but rather I'm going to elevate the browser credentials to take the context of the my Azure subscription. So here it's telling me to open this particular site and put the a code here there. Okay, so let me open this particular page, and here it will ask you to enter the code which is shown in my browser. So you need to take it from this particular character till this one, so till DM, and then that has to be copied. Go to here in the enter code, remove this particular space and click on next basically. So this is error. So here click next, it should go succeed. So it's basically, if you see here, so I have already logged into my Azure subscription or my in Azure subscription. Here I have a subscription here. So in that subscription we are using the to create a virtual machine and to take the backup of that. All right, so now what I do is I'll go ahead and click on continue. Once the continue has been done, you see that there is a message saying like you can close the window because now it should be succeeded. So if I go back and see here, so this is we actually logged into my Azure subscription, and I can now check what is the context of the current subscription basically, so that I can run the command called get AZ subscription like this. Yeah, and then if I enter, so which will show you the subscription ID and the subscription name, which actually tells you that so you are actually current in this context. So when you are presently in this particular subscription context, what I can do is you can run this script. This script is going to create three resources here. One is a resource group, and then post resource group has been created. It will create a virtual machine. You know that creation of virtual machine is very big complex process, and it involves multiple resources. So in that one, so it is basically going to create a virtual network which is not there in my account in my subscription. It's going to create a NIC, it's going to create a security group, it's going to create a public IP address, and it also asking me to provide the credentials which is basically needed to log into the Azure virtual machine. So I'm going to put the user ID name called EI Labs, which is my another channel name, and then I'm going to give my super secret password, which is basically very secure password, right? And then click on OK. So basically, when you run this command, new AZVM, so this is very basically highly intelligent command. It actually does the prerequisite resource configuration and then spins up the virtual machine. If everything is good, you see that there is an option telling you create Azure resource. In that one, it has started to deploy the Azure virtual machine in our subscription in the resource name called my resource group in the location called US. Basically, it's East US, right? So this is the resource group I have provided. The location is East US. So the image which I'm using is Windows 2022, which is data center version, and then the network. So I don't had any virtual network, so it's gonna create it. So in that, it will also create a subnet as well, then the security group and a public IP address, and then we are actually exposing the port number 80 on that particular virtual machine. And once the machine has been created, we are actually running a run command. So basically, this is a remote command execution on that machine with using AZ PowerShell command called invoke AZ VM run command, which passes you the resource group name, VM name, then the command. So here, we are running the PowerShell command, and then the script. Basically, this is some dummy script. Windows feature. Basically, it will install the Windows IIS feature on that particular machine, and it will enable the the IIS site basically. Yeah. So as you see here, the resource creation is in progress. While it will take certain time, what I do is I'm gonna go to the unpause and come back so that we save the time here. Okay, so after waiting for more than 2 to 3 minutes, I see that all the three commands got executed. So just you can have a look at the output here. So So here this is the the script which I have executed. um, it has returned the output for VM creation. This is the VM creation, and we got the ID of the VM, and restore its property, and then finally it also executed the the run command. Okay, so now if I take you to the my Azure subscription and go to the resource group, so this is my resource group here. So this is the resource group which we created through the PowerShell, that is my resource group. So in that one, we see that all virtual machines are being created. So we have a resources nearby 6 resources. So we have virtual machine, public IP address attached to this, the virtual machine. We have a network security group, disk, and then the VNet. So now if I select this particular virtual machine and go to its IP address, it has one public IP address, and that public IP address is given with a DNS. So you can copy this and try to run it from the internet. So this is basically, it's invoking a Windows IIS, so which will resemble, basically resolve into the Windows Server IIS service. Okay, so this is basically, which means that our virtual machine has been created. Now we will go for the step number 2, that is creation of Azure Site Recovery Vault, and then configuring the policy, and then configuring, basically making this machine protected from in the recovery vault, so that we take the backup of this machine, and we see that how that backup can be used for recovery purpose as well. So this is the step number 1 we have completed. Okay, so I have another script called enable backup.ps1 file, which is a PowerShell script. This is the script which actually creates the Azure Recovery Service Vault, and then creates a policy, and then enables the this virtual machine that we created, and makes it protected. Okay, so we will just quickly see the script, and then we can run this script basically. So here it creates the recovery service vault with using this name, and the resource group is the same resource group where we're gonna keep our virtual machine. Then so basically, again, remember that within the subscription context, recovery vault also needs a context. That's the reason we do run a command called get az recovery service vault, which will set the context of that particular service vault. Then actually, what you are doing is you are actually you want to have the vault ID. So that's the reason you are running a command called get az recovery service vault, that is needed to configure the further configurations. Then you are actually setting that az recovery service vault backup properties as zero redundant, which is highly suggested, because so that the data will be available across the zone, actually across the geo actually. And then you are actually creating a custom policy here, that will be created in the context of the vault which we created above. So here you are now actually getting the get az recovery service backup schedule policy object. And remember that so in the backup, the workload types makes more difference, in the sense what resource that you are backing up. So that resource workload type defines what kind of policy and how does backup has to be taken from the Azure side. Okay, so from the consumer side, our responsibility is to provide the parameter properly, that is workload type equal to Azure VM, because this video shows about the Azure VM backup. So here we are creating a policy with using these PowerShell commands, and then here is the basically you are creating a retention policy object. Then this is the command which actually creates the backup protection policy, right? And the policy name that we have given is new policy. And then goes the command that is basically a to command, which is actually enables the protection of the virtual machine. So that is get az recovery service backup protection policy. So this is the policy. With using that policy, we want to protect a virtual machine that we created with a name called my VM, right? And then finally we will forcibly trigger the backup on that virtual machine. Okay, so because remember that backup of the virtual machine is driven by the policy definition. In the policy definition, you do say that hey, policy, you take this backup of the particular targeted resource like virtual machine on a periodic wise, right? So, and the period might start in the next iteration, or it could start in within 5 minutes, like that. Yeah. All right, so what I do is I'm going to run this script, and we will see how does this script behaves. Okay, so I'm going to go on a pause and come back, so that we will save the time here. So what I do is it's very simple to experiment, or to learn, or to host in the public, or in the production environment. You just have to run the script like this. Yeah. So I'm going to run this script now like this basically. So here it will directly jump and create our Azure recovery service vault with the name something like this, that is test vault in the resource, right? And then it's going to create, it's going to set that context. We will get the ID of that particular vault context. And then, so basically we modified that, AZ service backup property to geo redundant. And then we're going to create a policy. With using that policy, you are actually protecting the machine. So what I do is, while I execute this script, I'm going to go on a pause and come back once the everything has been configured. I'm going to walk you through from scratch to end after that. Okay, so after waiting for a couple of minutes, more than 4 minutes, this script got executed, but it went through the error, which I'm going to walk you through now. First, let's see what are all the commands that got successfully completed and has configured the required configuration in the Azure subscriptions. So one is, so the new AZ Recovery Service Vault creation with this name is successful, and that's the reason you see that command has given us the output that is basically this one, that is test vault is been created, and then we have run the command that is actually set the vault context. So this is the vault context has been set with using get AZ recovery vault context set, right? So this is what the vault has been set basically. Then we are actually getting that particular vault with the name, and then from that variable, that is target vault variable, we are extracting the ID value. All right, and then that ID value will be used down the line. Then you are actually we are actually modifying the storage replication settings by running a command set AZ recovery service backup property targeting to the above vault, and the backup storage is geo redundancy. So that running that command has written something, you see that. So if I show you that particular output, so basically it has done the job. That's what I wanted to show you here. So what has been done now, this is the set command will not return anything, so that's the reason you can ignore this. So what is this output? Okay, that will be given by the next command, which we'll see now. So that is here we are creating a retention policy with using this. So here these are all the variables got set as expected. One is get Azure, get AZ recovery service backup schedule policy object of type this, and then setting those parameters. We use those parameters to create a backup policy, and this is the two commands which creates a backup policy for us with a name called new policy, and the workload type is Azure VM. Retention policy which we defined above. Then the schedule policy is this, targeting to a vault, the vault which we created, right? So that has given us the output something like this. So we created the vault, we created a policy here, right? So this is the vault which got created. Okay, so this is the targeting to this particular vault, it got created the policy here. All right, so this is the output if you see here. So this is the output talking about policy creation. So we have run a command, that is, if you see the row number 21, which is actually creating the backup protection policy. This is the output that we have got here. All right, so then the next command is actually enabling the protection. So basically this is the next two commands which will help you to enable the protection. You created a vault, you created a policy. Now you target your the resource that you want to take the backup. So here Azure Virtual Machine, we need to take the backup. So here first command is basically to get the backup protection policy on which you want to target your resources. One is this is the first command, that is at the line row number 24, basically, which is actually creates the which actually gets the policy object by running. If you see the command, so it is actually gets the policy object from the name, and that object is used to enable the protection, that is enable -AZ recovery service backup protection directing to this particular policy. Name is you are giving that particular protection equal to my VM, and then targeting to this particular resource, right? So this command also has went good basically. So if I show you here, so it has created the it has enabled the so this is the output which we got after that command. Ignore the other errors, so but focus on this particular part here. So that is enable AZ recovery service backup protection, passing the policy, giving one name to that particular the protection item, and then eventually it got basically it's protection item is nothing but you need to give your resource name, that is my virtual machine which we created just now, and that got basically configured. Now so till here the script run as expected, but it got failed to trigger the backup, right? So it just configured the backup configuration in the Azure Site Recovery Vault, but it failed. Why it failed? Because it was still in process. Okay, so if you see the error, so the error was known error, so I have fixed that error. Let's see, before I run the next couple of commands, so we need to run these many couple of commands to start the backup and see the backup has been taken. So now first, before that, we go to the resource group. So this is the resource group which we created. In this resource group, we have the virtual machine, right? So, and this is the virtual machine we are backing up now. We will go to the recovery service vault resource. So this is recovery service vault resource. So in this one, in the left hand side, you see a lot many options here. So the one is backup. If I click on the backup, so here you can see that what are all the properties it can. So in the sense, what is that you want to backup? That is something you can configure here, right? The other one is this is how we did it with using the PowerShell, but with using the UI, you need to start from here. Now first, let's go to the backup policy, then we can go to the protected item basically. So the one here, you see that there are like lots of default policies given from the Microsoft Azure. But in this one, we created a policy called a new policy. So in this new policy, you can actually see the backup schedule and retention range as well. So here you see that we have a backup schedule that is scheduled to take the backup every day at 1 a.m. UTC, and then the range of retention. So the range of retention is basically retention of the daily backup up to 180 days. Then the retention of weekly backup is up to 404 days, 104 weeks, which is basically too much. Yeah, and then the other retention policies can be enabled, right? So all these are basically what is that backup policy contains is it contains the component like backup schedule, retention definition, like that. Yeah, so we got our policy also created with using PowerShell. And now let's go to the last command that we run, that is to protect your virtual machine. That is nothing but enable the backup configuration on your virtual machine. So you can find that when you click on backup item, here you see that Azure Virtual Machine, the backup item is equal to 1, which means that our virtual machine is been backed up here. So if I go to the virtual machine option in the next page here, while the other tab is still helping us to identify the backed up item, so let it open. While that opens, let me click on this one, that is basically backup items of type category virtual machine. You see that? So here, what is the resource that is got backed up? That is our virtual machine from this resource group, and last backup status is in state because we have not triggered it. So this is the virtual machine which is getting backed up now. All right, now till now we are good. We go for the next operation, that is backup configuration, in the sense is the backup is been successful. So right now you see that last backup status is still in pending. So what I do is I'm going to go back to the vault here. So here you can see the status in details, like whether the backup has been went good or not, or something got failed. So that backup pre-check status, something you can also see here. The usage, that is backup, which is the item which got backed up, like that. So everything in a summary you can see it from this recovery service vault. Also now what I do is I'm going to go on a pause and try to run those two commands, and then we're going to work from there as well. Okay, so what I did is I have run those erroneous PowerShell commands manually, one after the other, and the result is very good. So here you see that what I did is I manually or forcibly triggered the backup of that virtual machine from Azure, the recovery site vault, basically, right? So here the first command is actually to get the named container, that is get AZ recovery service backup container by run this command. If you see here, just follow my screen so that you understand that what are all the commands and how does they return something values. So this is the command which we run in this PowerShell ISC, and the output is, you see that it got a container name called my VM from this particular resource. Status is registered, like that, and then you are actually getting the then with using that container name we are getting the backup item. So backup item output shows something like this. If I scroll it down, so it is giving me the output something like this. Yeah, so so this is the output which we got by running the command, that is at line number 29. And then so then we actually created a end date. So the end date is something which is needed to run the backup protection, start backup protection command. So next command is basically it's just getting a date format, and that is used as a parameter to run the command, that is backup AZ recovery service backup item. Right, so that is the next command that we have run here. So if I can show you this one. So this is the command which actually starts the backup process. And then if you see the output of that particular command, it is actually says the status, in the sense the backup process has started and the backup job ID is this one. Now I will take you to the my Azure subscription portal here, and we are in the test vault, which is recovery service vault. In this one, if you see here, now you see that there is a backup job which is in progress now. So if I go to the backup item here, in the option that is in the getting started, and then sorry, you go to the protected items, and then go to the virtual machine here, and then from there you can explore the backup process. So currently it is still updating, which means you can refresh it. It should show that, it should show the in progress status in general. Looks like there is some delay here. Maybe what we can do is, you can go back to the recovery service vault and check the backup ORU from the ORU page. So from this ORU page, you can see the status that is one. The backup process currently is in progress, right? And then you can also click on this one, which can help you to dig down the process, what happened. Basically, this is a lengthy process. It's going to take a couple of minutes, or a couple of basically more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe. What I do is I'm going to go on a pause and show you that, the backup has been successfully done once it is completed. Meanwhile, you can also check the status of your backup job by even by running the command. So in the automation process, this command will become very handy. So you can use this command, that is get AZ recovery service backup job status, something like this. So let me run this command. So if I run this command, you see that the status is still in progress, which is you can see from here. So as I said, it will take some time. We will again go back in a wait mode and come back once it is completed. So waiting for almost more than half an hour, I see that the backup is still in progress. So if I rerun the command, that is get the recovery service backup job process status, that is still in progress. If I go back to the to the backups, if I go to the recovery servers and then go to the the backup, you will see that the backup is still in progress. So if I go to the test vault, and then we go to the basically ORU and click on backup. So in this backup, you see that the process is still in progress, even though it is 40 minutes. And if I click on details, so the taking of snapshot is been done, but transferring that data to the on-premises to the Azure Recovery Service Vault, it will take some time. Okay, so what I do is, I'm gonna basically pause this till here, and we're gonna create a separate video for how to take how to use this backup and try to create a new machine out of it, and that will be available in the part 2 video of this particular session. So thank you for watching my videos. Do subscribe for more learning, and so look for another video for on the restore part actually. Thank you.